You feel like you're in this state of mind where nothing can make you feel any better.
It's a constant state of worry.
Something that can really conflict in your life and really limit what you can do in your life as well.
The world is turning around you and you can't do anything. You're not helping anything. You're just there and you're just suffering.
No one wants to be around a person
friends, I would
who's
hate
constantly
family.
down.
I would
when things get a bit too
feel
much,
isolated from all of them.
I'll
realise
internalise
that
How
everything.
can I ever be happy with this illness?
Were
Professor Ian Anderson is leading the research.
There's been quite a number of studies which have suggested that people who are depressed don't just have an alteration in how the brain's working, but also actually in the structure of the brain. And the hippocampus has been one of the areas that's been most found to be smaller in people with depression.
Smaller?
Smaller.
So you've got the hippocampus, which is this part of the brain which deals with emotion.
Yes, and memory, yes.
And if someone develops depression, are you telling me part of the hippocampus, the grey matter, shrinks?
Well, that's what we've found. So a bit like if you don't exercise, your muscles shrink. Maybe the same happens with the brain. If a bit of the brain that's important isn't functioning so well, that area becomes essentially smaller.
Professor Anderson explained to me how his studies show this change in the brain and how treatment affects it.
Our group of patients were people who had been depressed on average about 5 months, and the sort of people who'd be getting treatment from their general practitioner. And what we found was that if we looked at the hippocampus, we found a striking decrease in the amount of grey matter, that's the part of the brain that's got nerve cells and the connections between nerve cells in people who are depressed, and this was about a 25% decrease. So it's quite a striking and a staggering change, in fact.
I find it amazing that the brain shrinks when you're depressed, and that it is actually possible to see those changes for yourself.
What we found after 8 weeks treatment is that we had a significant increase in the amount of grey matter in these areas.
That's what the yellow dots are showing.
So these yellow dots are the increase, but it was nowhere near back to normal. This increase is only the order of a few percent. So you're still way down compared to how you would be normal. But if we then look at a group of people who've been well for years, we find that it goes completely back to normal. So somewhere between 8 weeks and a few years, the brain seems to recover fully.
So now let's talk about, who depression affects. I mean, who gets depressed, Doug?
Well, someone once said, a psychiatrist once said that depression is an equal opportunity destroyer. It affects young and old, rich and poor, black and white, Jew and Catholic and Protestant. It doesn't matter your age, your religion, what you've got going for you. Depression hits all people at all levels. Historically, if you remember in the Bible, King Saul was very depressed, and so David had to play the harp for him. So kings and queens and common people So it's very, very prevalent, and it just happens to everyone. No one is really immune in terms of who it could possibly strike.
Wow. So what causes depression?
Well, the thing I really want people to understand is, you know, you hear in a lot of the literature or the advertisements that depression is caused by, you know, some tweaking or, you know, imbalance of the brain chemistry. Well, that's partially true, but depression has many, many, many roots. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, sociological, environmental. It's a very complex disorder. So let's start with physical or biological. Well, of course, depression is a genetic disorder. If your father, mother, aunt, uncle are depressed, you're more likely to be depressed too. But then it's environmental too. If you've had early childhood trauma, addiction, or chaos or abuse in your family, you're also more likely to get depressed. Then it could be situational. Let's say that, you know, you've lost your partner or you get fired from a job. That can bring on depression. Then it can be caused by an adverse reaction to a drug, as you and I both know.
Yeah. So
there's many, many ways that this disorder can be started in many different causes. And as a result, as we will talk about later, there are many, many different treatments too.
That's good.